In this video I want to introduce the pandas data reader module in Python, how you can use it for querying stock price data. The example that I'm going to work on is to compare UPS and FedEx stock price performance since 2000. I will make a plot showing the daily returns. I will also show the distribution of daily returns, and I will visualize the time series of stock prices for UPS and FedEx respectively. The essential package is pandas data reader, and the subpackage data which I'm gonna import is web. I'm also importing pandas, and in order for me to be able to specify dates from which to collect the data, I'm using the datetime module, and for visualization I'm using pyplot, so I import matplotlib.pyplot. The first thing I have to do is to specify the start and end date for the time period I want to collect stock price data for. For this I use the datetime module, and with the datetime constructor I create a datetime object representing the start and end date. So you can see I'm collecting the data from the 1st of January 2000 to the 30th of September in 2020. And then I'm using pandas data reader.data with a data reader constructor, and as source I specify Yahoo, and here I have to provide as the first parameter the ticker for the stock I want to collect data for. So I googled the tickers on Yahoo Finance for UPS and FedEx. As you can see, the stock ticker for UPS is UPS, for FedEx the stock ticker is FDX. Once I call this method data reader from the pandas data reader.data package, I will receive a pandas data frame as a return object, and this pandas data frame will contain all the stock price data. It will contain opening and closing prices and so on for the respective stock, for the respective dates. In my example I also define some helper functions. You can look into this in detail when clicking on the link in the video description that will take you to the coding example on my blog. But essentially what I'm doing here is a plot that will plot daily returns. Here I'm defining a function for plotting a histogram of daily returns, and here I'm defining a function that will plot the daily prices. So this will plot a time series of the stock price development. Now the essential part is, for example, if we look inside this method, that I hand over data frames that were returned by pandas data reader, and as I said, this data frame will contain not only the closing prices but also the opening prices of the stocks, and in my plot I want to use the closing prices. So in my function here I have to specify which kind of data, which kind of price data I want to retrieve from the data frame, and as you can see I choose the close column, which is the column with all the closing prices. I also told that in my two first plots I will be using the daily returns. For this I also have to define a helper function that will calculate the daily returns. So this function is defined here. It takes in a data frame, which will be my pandas data frame returned by a pandas data reader with the stock prices. It takes out the column with all the closing prices, and then it basically here in a list comprehension calculates the day-to-day return, and will then return a list of daily returns. So I apply this function 2 times for the 2 data frames that I retrieved with pandas data reader. I receive 2 lists with the daily returns. I can print them here, and This basically just shows you that both lists have the same length, and this means that we really have data collected for the same time period and the same granularity. Next, I use my plotting returns function that I specified up here, and this will generate this plot showing me in black the daily UPS returns and in orange the daily FedEx returns. So it seems that FedEx has a higher variation and a higher variance in its day-to-day stock returns. I confirm this by making a histogram that shows the distribution in daily stock returns. Also here you can see that there's a higher spread in the FedEx daily returns. And finally I plot the closing price development for both stocks in this final line plot. And as you can see, FedEx, as a long-term investor, you will have a higher return in the end. But also from this chart you can see that the variance has been quite high. So this was a basic example on Pandas Data Reader and how you can use Pandas Data Reader and the data subpackage to query stock price data from Yahoo Finance. And an example that showed you, for example, how to use the data frame returned by the Pandas Data Reader and how to wrangle with it in order for you to be able to create a plot. If you want to use this example as a template, then you can find the coding example on my blog. For this you can click the link in the video description.